Gaius Julius Caesar was born on July 12, 100 BC. He grew up to a fairly wealthy political family and was expected to go into politics. Once he became older and started in politics, a lot of political leaders in Rome did not like Julius Caesar for what he stirred up and what he talked about. So they sent him to Gaul to fight in war. And while in Gaul, he became a leading general right alongside Marius and under Sulla, the emperor, I guess. And he took his men across Gaul into the Rubicon. They told him he couldn't go past the Rubicon. He went anyways, and he was in exile for it. And while he was in exile, he conquered most of Gaul and came back, took over Rome.
The assassination of Julius Caesar is one of the single most important events in the history of Western civilization. It sparked a series of civil wars that would lead to the dissolution of the Roman Republic and the rise of the Roman Empire. On March 15, 44 BC, Julius Caesar entered the Roman Senate, where he quickly found himself surrounded by 60-something conspirators. One of them, a man named Casca, grabbed Caesar by the shoulder and stabbed him clumsily. When Caesar turned to face his attacker, he saw not one knife, but 60. Caesar was stabbed an approximately 23 times, with Marcus Brutus, Caesar's supposed illegitimate son, delivering the final blow to his groin, a sign of great emasculation and humiliation. Perhaps the greatest irony about Caesar's death is where he landed. In the Senate chamber sat a statue of Pompey, Caesar's greatest military and political rival. And it was at the feet of this statue that the man who dubbed himself Divus Julius, Julius the God, came to rest.
2 days after the assassination, Mark Antony summoned the Senate and managed to work out a compromise in which the assassins would not be punished for their acts, but all of Caesar's appointments would remain valid. Antony most likely hoped to avoid large cracks in the government forming as a result of Caesar's death. The result, unforeseen by the assassins, was that Caesar's death caused the end of the Roman Republic. The Roman lower classes, who Caesar was popular with, became enraged that a small group of aristocrats had sacrificed Caesar. Antony, who had been drifting apart from Caesar, perhaps with the intent of taking control of Rome himself. But to his surprise, Caesar had named his grandnephew, Gaius Octavius, his sole heir, leaving him the immensely powerful Caesar name as well as making him one of the wealthiest citizens in the Republic. Upon hearing of his adopted father's death, Octavius abandoned his studies in Apollonia and sailed across the Adriatic Sea to Brunstrium. Octavius became Gaius Julius Caesar, Octavianus or Octavian, the son of the great Caesar, and consequently also inherited the loyalty of much of the Roman population. Octavian was only 18 at the age of Caesar's death and proved to have considerable political skills. Antony did not initially consider Octavius a true political threat due to his young age and inexperience, but Octavius quickly gained the support and admiration of Caesar's friends and supporters. To combat Brutus and Cassius, who were massing an enormous army in Greece, Antony needed soldiers, the cash from Caesar's war chest, and the legitimacy that Caesar's name would provide any action he took against them. With passage of the Lex Tita on November 27, 43 BC, the Second Triumvirate was officially formed, composed of Antony, Octavian, and Caesar's master of horses, Lepidus. It formally regarded Caesar as Divus Ilius in 42 BC, and Caesar Octavian henceforth became Divi Filius, which is son of divine. Seeing that Caesar's clemency had resulted in his murder, it engaged in the legally sanctioned murder of a large number of its opponents in order to fund its 45 legions in the Second Civil War against Brutus and Cassius. Antony and Octavian defeated them at Philippi. Afterwards, Mark Antony married Caesar's lover Cleopatra, intending to use the greatly wealthy Egypt as a base to dominate Rome. A third civil war broke out between Octavian on one hand and Antony and Cleopatra on the other. This civil war, culminating in later defeat at Actium, resulted in the final ascendancy of Octavian, who became the first Roman emperor under the name Caesar Augustus, a name that raised him to the state of deity.